Hey folks, welcome back to another Paul Masters video, and today let's talk a bit about the upcoming Shauna and Chesnaught that's dropping in the game at reset, which as usual we will be polling for live, so make sure to tune into that when that happens. So yeah, anyways, let's get into this unit then. So Shauna and Chesnaught, it is a support, it's general pull unit, so that's really nice. So let's first go over the general kit. So stat wise, got good, defense, special defense, pretty good HP too, and has a really high special attack stat for absolutely no reason. Chesnaught's even in the main series, it's not that much of a special attacker, and has no special moves. And on the contrary, has a physical move. Not that it's much of a physical move. The sync is also physical, and the physical attack is so low. But anyways, it doesn't matter. It's funny. Someone was clearly trying to play a little prank on the community, and congratulations, very successful prank. I respect it at least. So all right, and pretty bad speed. As for the moves, you have a 1 gauge spam here in Vine Whip, which is fine for support, right? It's good for gauges. Spam 1 gauge move, right? It's always decent, prefer that over 2 gauge or 3 gauge moves at least. Well, 3 gauge move has a potential for damage, but most 2 gauge moves I'd say. Mini potions all nice, AoE heals, not too much, but something. Spiky shield, which is it's like Obstagoon, but instead when it nullifies a physical move, it deals a grass damage move to the opponent. Again, should be the same thing as the Oricorio and syncs with Cyrus, extra damage proc over there, right? And then you have the trainer move, which is Off We Go, which is a pretty standard, support passive, right? Attack +2 and then crit +1 for your team, which is good. All right, and then the sync does nothing. And as for the passives, you got Team Dauntless Defender 9, which guaranteed chance of buffing defense, special defense of all allied sync pairs by 1 when the user nullifies opponent's move in the defensive posture. So if this is successful, you get +1 defense, special defense for your team. Then you have Block and Charge, which gives 3 gauges back when that move is successful as well, right? Spike Shield. And then last one is Sync Burst 1, which restores 1 MP for to the user first time the sync move is used in a battle, which is not good for Spiky Shield, but good for I guess mini potions and this at least, right? So it guarantees you don't even need MP refresh on the trainer move, right, to have the max physical attack and crit over here for your team. And you could probably use an extra mini potion before you sync as well, and that's a free extra mini potion, which is nice, definitely nice. So as for the grid, in terms of how many copies you want for this unit to really work, at 1 out of 5, you have the basic kit, honestly, which is a max crit and physical attack buffer with some mini potions. Could take a few hits, which is good, which is in of itself pretty solid. Nothing too much on the grid. 2 out of 5, you do have some really nice stuff like Natural Remedy, Team Wise entry, and Team Sentry entry. You also have a Vine Whip Attack Trap 2, which is a 30% chance of trapping the opponent. It costs 9 energy though, so I'm not sure it's really worth it. There's all move gauge refresh 3 on Vine Whip. MP refresh 2 on Spiky Shield if you want, more than 2 uses of it. MP refresh on trainer move, which is again not really relevant unless you're not syncing with him. Then okay, then it would be relevant. Then you have some grassy terrain stuff. Power Reserve 5, which is very funny. Or Power Reserve 5, 226 special attack instead of 336 special attack on a 1 gauge Vine Whip. This is the best node on the grid. Clearly, if you're new and you don't know this game that much, that was a joke. To clarify, please don't pick up that node. But yeah, 2 out of 5, you have some nice stuff. I'd say most of the stuff in 2 out of 5 is at the top left corner over here, right? Team Wise entry, Team Sentry entry. Natural Remedy over here is definitely the best stuff that he has on 2 out of 5. And 3 out of 5, you get the rest. Vigilance is good, right? So you could roll maybe something else as a lucky skill on his grid if you want. Or still roll Vigilance and just use the energy to pick up other stuff. Rejuvenate 6 is good, because he is pretty bad on gauges. So if you are support EXing, syncing with him, so that's definitely nice to get some gauges back there. MP refresh on your potions, mass heal on your potions, right? And then you got these 2 things, which is 1, decrease the sync move counter by 1 when you nullify an opponent move, which is very nice because the Spiky Shield thing is a at least 2-turn move, right? And I say at least because if you get unlucky and like you use it and the opponent doesn't attack you, that's more than 2 turns, unfortunately. So that's nice for the sync move countdown that you got wasted there. And then there's also team defense posture, physical up 9, which is very uncreative passive name, but gives 1 physical move up next for your team when you nullify a move. But both these, even though they're really nice, both these can only be used once per battle, which really sucks, because like, why only once? They're A, not even that overpowered, and B, like otherwise you don't really want to use Spiky Shield. Right, then you have Endurance, which is alright, and then Shielded 1, which is pretty good too, to buff your team's defenses by at least 3, right, if you're syncing with him. So yeah, that's good. That's good. Good stuff in 3 out of 5, right? So yeah, 3 out of 5 you got a lot of the extra stuff, but 1 out of 5, I'd say you have most of the kit, right? 90% of the, well, maybe not 90%, but like 85% of the kit is at 1 out of 5, so you don't have to worry too much about it. Plus it's like a general pool, and just wait till you get more copies in the future when you're pulling for other stuff, right? Like, come on. Going to some pros and cons of this unit. Pros, got a few. First of all, it is a general pool unit, so Spotlight, it's if you are a whale and use paid gems, there's the really nice Spotlight paid gems banner when you draw when Shauna drops. But if you're not, then it's nice because in almost every other thing you're gonna pull in the future, right? When you're pulling for mass fairs or poke fairs, seasonals, she's always gonna be in the pool, and she's definitely gonna be a very nice, additional surprise if you are pulling for something else and then she pops up, right? So second pro, max physical attack and crit buffer, very nice, right? It's next, she is a good tank, right? She's not like a god tier tank, but she's good enough, right? Good enough. You got the solid stats there. You have good defense buffs, not as good special defense buffs, right? But you also do have the nullification that could help there as well, especially on scripted stages. Good, again, it's risky on unscripted stages, but versus scripted stages like legendary gauntlets or whatever, right? That could come in clutch. Mini potions are there, right? Could be nice, and again, more so gauntlet I'd say than other things, but yeah. And then you have the damage nullifications, which we've already talked about ad nauseum, right? So yeah, that's some of the pros. As for some of the cons, there are definitely some cons, right? First of all, it is risky, right? So if you are using Spiky Shield, it is very risky against unscripted stages. So if you throw it in there and then the opponent decides to like not attack you, use like they're gonna use a stat buffing move or whatever, right? Or even whatever else, field effect move, whatever, that just doesn't trigger it. Again, especially in mass mode, right? Since gauntlet stages are scripted, so it's less risky in gauntlet. That could kind of screw you over, so you're gonna click Spiky Shield and for 4 turns you're sitting there doing nothing, no sync with countdown, no other stuff that Shauna could potentially be doing there instead. She is slow, right? 243 speed is pretty bad. And she doesn't have too much gauges stuff going for her. It's just like rejuvenate here. And if you do block something, you do have the 3 gauges back. But again, first of all, the block thing is, you don't do it too often. It's not very often occurrence. And yeah, the only other saving grace is at least Vine Whip's 1 gauge. And then the last, and maybe another one we could throw in there, her special defense buffs are not great. They're not terrible, but they're also not great. You really just have to team-wise entry 1 there, and then it's +1 every time you nullify a move, which could only top up at +4 if you don't pick up MP refresher for Spiky Shield, right? So that kind of sucks, I guess. But yeah, and then the last con over here, she's kind of a cone, right? Which is something I don't really like in supports. Which meaning, a cone is generally, a support where after she does her support stuff, she doesn't do anything anymore. After you use her training move, right? Okay, it's in certain scenarios you could throw out Spiky Shield, nullify a move, but outside of that, and when your team needs the potions, you potion, but outside of that, you're just doing nothing, right? It's just Vine Whip, and Vine Whip doesn't do anything, right? There's a 30% chance to trap, but that's not really, relevant. right? Like for example, like compared to Sonya Yamper, also another physical general pool support, right? After you use Sonya's stuff, she has a lot of other things she could offer, right? Whether it's a chance to flinch or paralyze, right? But also the defense debuffs on her tackle are also very, very, very nice, right? So she's like not doing absolutely nothing, just sitting there like a cone, right? But yeah, Shauna, not a complete cone, but yeah, pretty much a cone after you use her her buffs and stuff, unfortunately. So yeah, there's that. So all right, moving on. Let's talk about some lucky skill suggestions, I guess. One you could go for is vigilance, and I know, she already has vigilance in her grid. Yeah, but A, you might not have her at threat of 5. And B, if you do run vigilance on her, you could like save up those energies to pick up some other stuff. Although to be fair, there's not like too much stuff you really want to pick up on her grid wise, right? So yeah, you could do vigilance. You could do some other stuff, like fast track, right? You could give her defense crush, so she becomes less of a cone, right? At least you have a 30% chance to debuff the opponent's defenses after you're done doing all your stuff. As for some other, you could just go for the standard tank stuff, right? If you're using her for a specific gauntlet stage, you could give her one of those, type guards, whichever, legendary gauntlet you're going up against, you could do that, or master mode stage, I guess. What else? You could do quick cure, I guess, depending, again, on the stage. You could do, did I say fast track? But fast track, move gauge refresh, healthy healing, right? Those are just general stuff that you could throw on tanks, so you go nuts with those, right? As for the sync grid, that's starting from 1 out of 5. Yeah, just pick up like anything that says defense, HP, right, or speed, and you're good, right? And these you could pick up, right, but you also don't have to pick up if you don't need them. And yeah, that's basically if you want to save orbs, but if you have the orbs, you can pick up everything at 1 out of 5. For 2 out of 5, probably want the again, natural remedy. It depends on the stage, but natural remedy, I guess. As for any other stuff, you don't really need okay, if you're running her in grassy terrain, you could pick up this stuff, right? Verdant recovery in grassy terrain is nice. Turbo Turf 2 in grassy terrain helps as well with her pretty bad speed. But if you don't, again, all the other stuff really depends. Unbending depends. Escape Artist depends on the stage, right? All those Escape Artists, you could save 2 energy over here. But yeah, otherwise, maybe the trap thing just to get some extra just DOT in there. So again, makes her less of a cone. MP refresh on Spiky Shield if you really need it. Although I highly doubt. In general, you'd use more than 2 Spiky Shields in a battle, but yeah, so that one kind of depends. Yeah, 3 out of 5. Get the rest of your grid. If you don't want to roll Vigilance on her, right, you could pick up Vigilance over here. If you are syncing with her, support EXYs, you could pick up Rejuvenate there as well. You go for the shielded stuff or physical defense. That's really, really nice. And that sucks, man. I wish these two were swapped places, then you could just come up here and pick up Team Y's entry, because you'd have decent enough physical defense here. You just want some extra special defense. But yeah, you could do something like this. If you're not syncing with her, you could go for the move gauge refresh over here, which in this case you would be able to pick up Team Y's entry. As for some other stuff, you could pick up this stuff, right? You pick up this stuff if you're fighting a faster stage, right? Like for example, like a more offensive focused master mode. This stuff would be nice, right? In a faster stage, this stuff would be cool. But if it's a slower stage, yeah, physical move up next is nice, but in the grand scheme of things, where you're taking 10, 15, 20 hits to finish the stage, 1 extra turn physical move up next is probably not going to make it or break it overall. And yeah, it's just this stuff over here just costs a lot of energy. I don't think it's generally really worth it. I'd rather maybe just spend this stuff on mini potions, again, for longer stages, right? Maybe Team Y's entry or something like that. So yeah, again, it obviously depends on the situation. And for supports, we're not really gonna talk team comps for supports because it's just whoever you need to support, right? So there's that. Physical units. All right, so in the end here, the big obvious point is it's a general pool unit, unless you're a really, really, really big Shauna / Chesnaught fan, right? Just don't really, or you're just a massive whale and you don't care, which is, good for you, but keeps the game alive, I guess. But otherwise, yeah, don't pull the spotlight. Banners, unless you really want to, right? But again, I can't stop anyone, right? So yeah, it's a spotlight unit, right? It's a solid spotlight unit. I would say of all the physical support buffers that you have in the general pool, at least the ones that could like fully max, physical attack and crit. Off the top of my head, that's without like massive RNG like Yahweh. So like off my top of my head, it's like Hilbert, Aaron, and Sonya, right? I would probably have Chesnaught at maybe the bottom there, right? It doesn't mean there's no places where you want to, where you want to use Chesnaught over Hilbert, for example. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of places where you want to use Chesnaught over Hilbert, for example. I mean, again, longer stages, right? Obviously, Chesnaught's much better tank than Hilbert. But like Hilbert just gives you a lot of other like great things, right? Hilbert's just like, for example, less of a cone, right? With the defense crush, the flinching that he could do, also the extra speed, much better. But yeah, I mean, again, it's not in Paul Masses. It's really when it comes to sports, a lot of the times, not always, but a lot of times, it's just depends on circumstances, right? It depends on stage. So yeah. I mean, it's just a nice unit to really pull once you in the future as like a side 5-star generic, to get, right? So anyways, probably like a 3 out of 10. It's an okay unit. Again, some things I definitely don't really like, but overall it's fine. It's still a max physical support, right? That could tank relatively well. Pretty bad speed, but you'd expect that from units with these kits, I guess. So yeah, 3 out of 10. I'd say it's probably one of the better spotlights to pull for, but again, it's still a spotlight, so yeah, don't pull for spotlights. Anyways, but I will. So yeah, stay tuned for that later tonight. Join the stream, would be fun. So yeah, that's me. This one. Hope you all enjoy. Like guys, think in the comments down below. Like and enjoy the videos from our channel. Some more Paul Mouse's content. I'll see you guys in the next one then.